In this video, we're looking primarily at relationships between different types of angles. We've already met supplementary angles. These are angles that sum to 180 degrees, because if we combine both those angles together, they make a straight line, and we know that a straight angle is 180 degrees. A complementary angle is similar to that in that we know that when both of them are combined, they make a right angle, which is 90 degrees. So those are two angles that sum to 90. We've also met vertically opposite angles from our first theorem, where we learned that pairs of angles directly opposite one another are equal in measure. Now, what we learn in this video will be about angles around transversals. So we can see here that I have two lines that are parallel. The lines that are parallel are the lines that I have these arrows drawn on. So this one here and this one here. They are parallels. They would never ever cross each other because they're the same distance from each other for all in both directions. The transversal is a line that cuts across two or more parallel lines. So the transversal there is the red line. And we can see that I've marked 8 different angles. I've marked them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. For the sake of simplicity, that's how I've named them in this video. Now, we're going to learn, first of all, about interior angles. So, if we start off down here with interior angles. So we can see that we have two pairs of angles that are beside each other. They're both inside the parallel lines, and they both, one of their arms is the transversal. So each angle has one arm as a transversal and the other arm as a different parallel line. So we can see that if we were to add both of those angles together, they would add to 180 degrees, because I've slid that angle up. So that's one of the interior angles. If I move it to the other side of the one, we can see that both of those combined add to 180 degrees. So that means that interior angles like that add to 180 degrees. So if we look at our example here, we have interior angles, and I've said that they add to 180 degrees. So one pair of interior angles we have is 6 and 7. They are interior. So that's 6 plus 7 are interior. And another example are 3 and 2. So 3 and 2 are the other example of interior angles. Next, we'll look at corresponding angles. So here we have corresponding angles. So in corresponding angles, both of them will be on they will both have an arm as a transversal, and they will both have an arm as one of the parallel lines. We can see here that they both are on the top of their parallel lines. So if I slide this along, we can see that this angle down here is the same size as that one up there. Now, we also have another interior angle. So if we look at the second pair, we have it here. So if I slide this up, we can see they correspond to one another. Third pair here, we can see if I slide this up again, they correspond. And the fourth pair, we can see again, they correspond to each other. So if we go back to our example here, we have corresponding angles are equal. So our corresponding angles, well, we have 1 corresponds to 3. They'll be the same size as each other. So we'll have 1 plus 3 will be the same size as each other. Then we'll have 2 and 4. They both correspond. So 2 plus 4 will be the same size as each other. Then we'll actually change the color of the highlighter for 1 second. We have 5 corresponds to 7. So we have 5 and 7. And then the last pair of corresponding angles we have are 6 and 8. So they are the same size as each other here. So we have 6 and 8. Now, just to make sure I don't confuse things, I'm going to get rid of those plus signs in between because I don't want to confuse us thinking they have to be added together or anything. So We have 1 and 3 are a pair, 2 and 4, 5 and 7, and 6 and 8 are pairs of corresponding angles. Then finally, we have alternate angles. So let me catch this one here. So let me bring this down, refresh this page, get it started again. Okay. So here we have an angle, and we're going to slide this up. So that's its corresponding angle. Then if I slide this down, we can see, oh, that's the same size of it as well. So if we look here, we have an angle, and we have another angle on the other side. They're vertically opposite to each other. So we've already learned that vertically opposite angles are the same size as each other. And we started off with this angle down here. So we start here, we see its corresponding angle is there, and then this is vertically opposite to it. So the pair of them are the same size as each other. So that's what alternate angles are. So if I look at my example here, we're going to have pairs of alternate angles. So one pair of alternate angles will be 2 and 6. They are alternate to each other. So if we look at this, what it kind of looks like is if we can make a Z. So if we have a parallel line, the interior bit here will be the same size as the interior bit here. So this is what alternate angles are like. So we have 2 and 6 are one pair of alternate angles. Then the other pair of alternate angles that we have are 7 and 3. Now again, that looks like a more lopsided, awkward looking Z for that. We can see it goes like that. And we see this angle here be the same size as this angle here. So it's always kind of like you could make a Z with it for alternate angles. So we have 2 and 6 as one pair, and then we have 3 and 7 as another pair of alternate angles. So now in this video, we recapped on supplementary, complementary, and vertically opposite angles. We learned that a transversal is a line that cuts across 2 or more parallel lines. And then we investigated how interior angles both add to 180 degrees. So we have 6 plus 7 is equal to 180. And we have 3 plus 2 is equal to 180 here. Then we looked at corresponding angles, and we've seen the corresponding angles are equal to each other. So even rather than having them as pairs like that, what you should really have is equal signs between them. So 1 will be equal to, I'll get this right again, 1 will be equal to 3, 2 will be equal to 1, 5 is equal to 7, 6 is equal to 8. Sorry, 2 is equal to 4. Small little mistake there, but I caught it. And same here, we have alternate angles are equal. So by right, rather than having that comma in between, I should really have